is going to be a part two to a series that I did called The American Scheme, The American Dream, which in actuality is the American Scheme, because what it aims to do is saddle you in debt and then force you to work your way out of it, force you to try and catch up, all based on promises and dreams of opportunity and this being the freest nation in the world and so on and so forth. You end up under stress, you end up wasting all of your productive years of your life chasing after something that really only exists to a certain portion of the population. The whole system is rigged. You could be putting forth a lot of effort in all the wrong areas, which could end up driving you mad. It could end up ruining your family, ruining your marriage, ruining your relationships, stressing you out. This is what the American scheme can do to you if you let it. And many people seek after this and never find it. Some people get lucky and they actually get to be rich only to realize that that doesn't make them happy either. So a lot of us went to school. What happened? When you're young, what do they tell you? Get an education, right? All your dreams will come true. You'll become rich and this and that. But there was some kind of a disconnect. The disconnect between what we're told the American dream is and what actually and really happens. Did anyone ever teach me how to run a hotel or buy a hotel or run a restaurant? Did anyone ever teach you how to run a corporation when you were in high school or college? Or how to be a CEO? How about what it takes to buy and sell stock? You know, stock trading is supposed to be the cornerstone of American culture. Yet, how many people do you know that actually know how to buy and sell stock? You know, how stocks fit into the American economy. These talking heads get on these television shows and stuff and CNN and all this, and they talk about the economy all the time. But there's a big white elephant in the room. We have no idea what's really going on when it comes to the American economy. There's all of this buying and selling and trading going on in the top 5% of American households. They're involved in this stock trading. They've got investments. Were you taught any of this in high school or college? I wasn't. I was taught the terms and what things mean, but I wasn't taught how they work and how they would fit into my adult life when I graduated from college, and how I was supposed to be involved, how to manage money in this life to create wealth. And yet all of these elite, they know exactly how to do all this stuff. That's how they create their wealth. That's how they stay in power. And then they hand down these secrets to their children. We're not even taught in high school or college how to buy or sell a house, when to buy or sell a house, because you can buy a house, but you could be buying that house at the top of the market. What I'm trying to get you to understand here is certain people in our culture and society are taught these things to prepare them for a different life path than you and I get to experience. We get to go on the low road life path and be slaves to the system. We get to become the people that work in their hotels. We get to become the people that work in their restaurants, serving the food, making a fraction of what the people in power make. You see how this works? The system could never work without slaves to the system, which falls in line exactly with what's going on with immigration right now. The reason why the immigration problem never got fixed is because they need slaves to the system. But that's the root of the problem, make no mistake. Many of them are illegal immigrants, housekeepers. These are all people who service the elite, gardeners, painters. All of this is going on right under. Where do you think all these people come from? They come from across the border. And the wealthy enjoy this cheap labor because then that means they have more money they can spend on themselves. They can also exploit these people in many different ways. This is the truth about what's going on in America. And until people wake up to this and understand what's really going on, the problem will never get fixed. It's all smoke and mirrors. I saw families being split up. I saw exactly how this worked. I saw mothers leaving their children, fathers leaving their children to go work across the border. Is that something we should be proud of as Americans? Do people have to immigrate and split up their families to come work up here? Or would we rather have those people working down in their country and then ship this stuff to us? And then we can trade for them and they can still be wealthy. But part of that is getting rid of the corruption in Mexico as well. And Trump could easily do that economically. He could get rid of the corruption in Mexico by not incentivizing it, and by not supporting it, and by placing sanctions on the elite, not the people, the elite in Mexico, and making a stand. That's how you fix the immigration problem. You see how this has nothing to do with race? It has everything to do with socioeconomics and politics. So back to this thing about educating us to fail the American scheme. We weren't taught how to build wealth in schools. We were taught to be workers and people who service things. That was our education. We are the 95% of the people that are not part of the real American dream. We are part of the American slave class. So now you see the problem with America. Most people, even with an education, are left out. I figured this out after I got my college degree. I thought I'd be taught everything I needed to be wealthy, pay back my school loans. I never thought it'd be a struggle to pay back school loans. Never thought my first job out of college I'd be fired from because I had no idea what I was doing. Why didn't anybody teach me this? I just spent a bunch of money on an education and went into debt and was told that when you get an education, you get to be somebody. You get to be in the top 5%. But that's all a lie. So then I asked myself, what is the purpose of all this expensive education? If you had to learn everything when you got out anyway, why go at all? And I realized education is a lie. It's a mandatory smokescreen excuse to prop up an entire indoctrination called school. It served no purpose except as a daycare so that parents have more time to be slaves. It's a vicious cycle. 1 to 5% of us in the country of America have real wealth. That's it. The rest are slaves, and they always will be. Even people making 6 figures are slaves. Most of them want to be like the 5%ers, and they want to live the lifestyle of being wealthy without building the wealth. And even if you're making 6 figures, many of those people are still working for somebody else, and their destinies will always rest in someone else's hands, based not on their own talent and ability, but on their managers and the market factors, of course. So that's the truth about education in America. Very few of us are taught how to build real wealth. We basically paint ourselves into a corner through debt, through choices that we've made. We kind of create the circumstances by which we cannot escape. We create our own prison in this type of Ponzi scheme that we call the American dream. The best thing is to live on less, to forestall immediate gratification, and to actually wait for the things that you think you need. And I guarantee you, by the time you save up for the things you think you need, you probably will realize that you don't need that thing anymore. And then you'll begin to understand the value of a good working car that you're not paying a car payment on. You'll understand the value of low-cost shelter in a safe area. You'll start to understand many important things that you didn't understand before. These are called life lessons. And as you learn them, your life will become very simple. The small businesses are the ones that work the hardest. You got to try to stay in business. You're not making a bunch of profits. Nobody in the family is making a bunch of money, but you're holding on to the American dream. It used to be that small businesses were the heart of America, and then the large corporations came and took over and made small businesses unprofitable. Small business would be more attuned to the way God would do things. But when the corporations come in and basically oppress all of the rest of us so that they can have profits and make it so that we become slaves and we become in debt, that is not right. They want to make America great again. When you own something, you shouldn't have to have a license for it. I have a lot of questions. You have the ability to be rich, but how do you get there? By stepping on people. By being part of the secret society that knows how to trade stocks and build wealth, and knows how to hand it down to their kids, and knows how to hide their money so they don't have to pay taxes on it. Do you really want to get rich that way? That's how they do it. Offshore bank accounts, land ownership. That's what's going on with that. I wanted to tell you guys this because sometimes life is hard. It's like hitting your head against a wall. Sometimes we can't figure out why. A lot of you work 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week, and you're like, is this worth it? What am I doing? I'm working to live, to pay my bills. I'm working to pay rent. I'm not having any fun in life. I have no money to do anything else but pay rent, my car payment, and this and that. And it can get to the point where you're like, what's the point? And so hopefully talks like this can help you understand why that is. It's because you've been indoctrinated and educated to be a slave. society tells you that you should feel proud for working so many hours. Yeah, while somebody else is raising your kids, or you're paying $1,500 a month in child care. And the default of the American dream is to work hard. Does that make any sense? Always be thinking of ways to forestall immediate gratification of material things. Get yourself a good working car that's 10 years old, that the engine is solid and the transmission is solid. You won't have a car payment. Find yourself a place to live that is well below the market rent. Stay out of debt. Debt only makes you a slave. It stresses you out, it hangs over your head, and it shifts all of your priorities onto that debt rather than living your life. Find enjoyment out of simple things, like a barbecue at a park. Don't give in to the expectations that the world tells you. Don't feel guilty because you can't take your kids to Disneyland or Marine World. Don't carry that guilt. That's the enemy whispering in your ear. But we put all of this on ourselves. We think we're supposed to be expected to do all those things because that's what the American scheme tells us. And then we're saddled with guilt when we can't compete and we can't do what the other people at church get to do for their kids. And the so-and-sos live in this neighborhood. And the so-and-sos drive this car. You see how that works? Don't give in to the American scheme because at the end of the day, none of it matters. So now you know the truth.